The desert evening was a furnace of fading fire, the Arizona sky painted in wild strokes of crimson and violet as the sun sank low, bleeding into the rugged mountains that towered in the distance, and beneath that burning sky rode Jack Callahan, a rancher of 35 years, broad-shouldered, weathered by wind and loneliness, his hat pulled low against the glare and dust, his horse steady as if it had known every trail and thorn of the wilderness. He was a man who had long chosen solitude over society, the cattle over crowds, the silence of the prairie over the rattle of saloons, yet fate, ever mischievous in the West, often set fire to quiet lives when least expected, and on that fateful evening Jack's silence was broken, not by coyotes, not by the cry of hawks, but by the fragile whimper of a girl whose body lay crumpled beside a mesquite tree, half swallowed by the desert dust, her dress torn, her lips cracked by thirst, her breathing so shallow it seemed the desert was already claiming her, and Jack, cautious yet compelled, pulled his reins tight, scanning the horizon first with the suspicion all frontiersmen learned to master, for strangers rarely meant peace out here. An ambush was always a whisper away, yet the girl's form was small, weak, undeniably broken, no threat but instead a cry for help carved into the earth, so he dismounted, his boots sinking into the dry soil with a crunch, his shadow long against the last flames of sunlight, and he approached slowly, every instinct alive, until her eyelids fluttered open and revealed eyes dark as obsidian, wide with fear yet also shimmering with something more desperate, pleading, surrendering, clinging, and when she tried to speak, the desert stole most of her breath, but a whisper, trembling, fragile as if carried from another world, reached him, words so strange, so heavy with untold stories, they rooted themselves in Jack's mind instantly. "Take me home." "Do as you wish," she cried, though it was no scream but rather a plea mixed with resignation, as if she had already been through storms beyond bearing and had no strength left to fight fate itself, and Jack felt a hard knot form in his chest, his jaw tightening, his heart stirred in a way it hadn't been in years, for he had seen cattle starved, riders broken, even women bruised and discarded by the cruelty of men who thought the West was theirs to take, but this girl's plea cut deeper, the surrender in her words igniting in him both anger at whoever had done this and a strange responsibility he could neither name nor deny. And so he knelt, slipping an arm beneath her frail shoulders, lifting her head gently, whispering low, steady, the way one might to calm a frightened colt, "Easy now, you're safe, ain't nobody gonna harm you," though she barely seemed to hear, her body light, too light, hollowed by hunger and exhaustion, yet she leaned into his strength as if her soul had been waiting for someone to bear her weight just once, and without another word Jack gathered her into his arms, carrying her to his horse, setting her gently across the saddle, mounting behind her to keep her steady, one arm firm around her waist, and together they rode across the fading desert into night, the wind cool against their skin, the stars slowly spilling across the sky like silver dust, and as her head rested weakly against his chest, Jack could still hear the echo of her words, "Take me home, do as you wish," and he wondered what kind of home she meant, and what kind of will she thought he might impose upon her, for he was no cruel man, but she did not know that, and perhaps in her world every man had been cruel, and perhaps that was why she surrendered with words rather than with trust. Yet his ranch loomed ahead, a lonely silhouette against the horizon, and soon the firelight from his homestead flickered warm and alive against the cold blue of night, so when he carried her inside, laying her gently on a cot near the fire, covering her with a wool blanket, he felt the strange, heavy pull of destiny, as though this girl, fallen from the desert like some wounded bird, was about to change everything he thought he knew about his life of solitude.